How's it going, everyone? Now we have another running back in Evan Hall, who comes out of Northwestern. He's currently ranked 199th overall and is the 20th best running back in this year's draft. He stands at 5'10", 209 pounds, and ran a 4.47 40-yard time with a 1.53 10-yard split. So, not the super fastest, not slow, but does have good acceleration and good burst. And at the end of the day, he did end up with a 9.30 RAS score and is projected to be another running back that is going to go later in the draft or potentially an undrafted free agent. So for Evan Hall, he did play at Northwestern for 4 years total. And in his first 2 years, he didn't really play much. So in his first year as a freshman, he played 4 games, had 46 attempts and 286 yards, which was 6.2 yards per carry and 4 touchdowns. Then in his second year, he had played 7 games with 25 attempts at 209 yards, which was good for 8.4 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns, while adding 6 receptions and 41 yards. Then in his third year, this is where he started really blowing up. Played 12 games, had 196 attempts for 1,009 yards, which was good for 5.1 yards per carry, and 7 touchdowns, while also adding 33 receptions, 264 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then in his final year, played 12 games again, had 221 attempts for 913 yards, which was good for 4.1 yards per carry, 5 touchdowns, and adding a ridiculous 55 receptions for 546 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he was pretty much tasked to do everything over there in his final year. So what do we like about Evan Hall? Well, first off, it's nice to see that he doesn't have much wear after his collegiate career. He only attempted 488 total rushing attempts in his entire 4-year career. So he doesn't have a lot of run on his legs, which is good. He's also a very patient runner. He has very good vision. When you watch him play, he's very easily able to identify, anticipate where the gaps are going to be, where the holes are going to open up, and how sometimes the linebacker, based off the angle, where he's attempting to fill in. So he has very good patience and anticipation. And also, despite being on the slightly lighter side at 209 pounds and 5'10", he can also run in between the tackles. He's not strictly just an outside zone or going to the edge. He can also run pretty decently in between the tackles. And that's also based off because he's able to anticipate where the holes are going to be and run in between the tackles. So he's not just a one-trick pony into where you're just going to have to force him inside and he's done. And adding on to when he does run in between the tackles, he shows very good burst. Once he identifies where the running lane is, you see him accelerate fast through that hole, and he runs hard through the hole, which is good because he's probably anticipating some contact, and once he's decided, he's going through. So there's no real indecisiveness on his part, which is good out of a patient runner like him. And then another thing to really like about him, as you saw in the stats, he's a very solid pass catcher. He can catch a lot of balls. He's very good in that department. And he's going to have to be one of those like Austin Eckler type of running backs, I feel like, which is very prevalent in today's league. Like, you can't just be a running back unless you're severely good. Like, Derrick Henry is just a monster. But if you're going to be that size, you're going to have to be able to catch. And as you saw in his final year, catching 55 catches into his name, he was a very productive player for Northwestern and could be good for either a team with a rookie quarterback. It could be good for us as a Packers, and with Jordan Love potentially. I mean, he wouldn't really start for us, but it's still nice to have someone you can rely on to check down, whether it's in the flat or he can actually run some decent routes into, even if it's like a halfback angle, he's going to catch it. He shields defenders very well away from the ball and uses his body to try and seal them off so he can catch a ball. As for the cons, though, he's not the fastest. He ran a 4.47, so he's not super fast, but he's not super slow. But he's just in that in-between where, yes, he's got decent speed, but once he breaks free, if he breaks free, he's not going to outrun everyone. You can see in his video, if he's not getting caught at the initial line, which is actually the next con, he's going to get caught from behind most likely. So he doesn't have the breakaway speed. He'll get caught from behind. And unfortunately, coming back to the initial part of the line, once he bursts through the holes, and if the linebacker's there or someone gets a hand on him, 9 times out of 10, that's where he's going to get tackled. He doesn't have very good break tackling. Once a defender gets their arms around him, he's pretty much done. He doesn't push the pile forward, and he's just, hey, I got through the hole, cool, got hit, and I'm going down. He doesn't have the size to break these tackles. And then lastly, he is a liability in pass protection. Once again, not the biggest guy. He doesn't know how to pretty much anchor and slow down pass rushers that well. So in pass protection, your quarterback's probably going to get blown up by him. Like, he can slightly slow down and try to cut block a defender, but it's only going to slow him down for a second or two, and that defender is going to hit the quarterback if he doesn't get the ball out. So he's a bit of a liability and a lot to be desired in pass protection. So as is fit for the Packers, since they did bring him in for a pre-draft visit, I'm not sure how well he could fit with this team. He's not the biggest, so he's not going to push the ball forward. He's not the fastest, so he's not going to break away. And yes, he has good patience, but in his first year, he's not going to start. And with the emergence of Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs coming into play and hopefully taking the next step and drafting maybe another receiver or someone else we bring in along with Samori Toure, well, we're going to pass the ball when we do pass to the receivers more than we did beforehand when, well, receiving was where we were wondering who the heck was going to catch the ball, especially with Watson and Doubs getting injured throughout the year. So after this year, when potentially Aaron Jones is gone, if he's gone, and A.J. Dillon, if he's gone, I would see Watson and Doubs in their third year, hopefully becoming stars, potentially superstars for us. And hopefully Jordan Love has taken that next step and he's actually the guy for us. And where he's not going to have a fit for this team because we're going to need a number one back. But at the end of the day, the Packers bringing him in for a pre-draft visit is a little bit interesting. I don't know exactly how he'll fully fit with this team if we do decide to draft him, but we'll have to wait to see how the team unfolds and how next year really looks like after Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon's concerns come up, and if we even keep them next year. But let me know what you think down in the comments. If you liked the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and as always, go Pack Go.